A couple of weeks ago, these guys reached out to me with a crazy idea. Something about ranking these teams after the draft. And I said, you guys, you might just be onto something. So what we did was each ranked the 12 teams after the draft, combined those into what we will call combined rankings. What a crazy fucking title. And we're here to review these teams. I
How did
know,
you
right?
come up with that?
I would credit beer, but that's just me. Uh,
Yes,
so,
let's all cheers to that.
cheers to indeed, indeed. So we're back for another round of 2025 awful rankings. Tonight we're gonna check the goats and Shane's team. Uh, so what we'll do is we'll pull up. Well, let's see. Actually, I'm gonna take Matt's team. So let's pull up his slide here because God, it's good to have visual cues. I'll get the timer ready. This one had some pretty good disparity in the rankings before we dive in, though. Ryan, you had Matt's team at fourth. I had him down at 10th. Carl was fifth. So that's a pretty good scatter shot, I feel like. Um, Fantasy Pros had him at fifth. Maybe I'm in the wrong, but let's talk about it. Since I was the low man on this one, I'll kind of give you guys the rundown of what I was feeling, and you feel free to shred me afterwards. Okay? Uh, I think Matt made some pretty good moves last year to start positioning himself for the future. I think that's why he's got Achan and Neighbors on the team now, right? Or some trades last year. The draft kind of reflects that. He went and he picked up Bo Nix at quarterback. I'm not super thrilled with Bo Nix. He did finish as QB8 last year, though, so clearly he's got the skill. To me, just that Denver offense seems to lack a lot of firepower. So a lot of things would have to go right for him to kind of reach that ceiling again. At running back, Achan, Swift, Henderson, and Algier. That's actually a pretty good group. I don't have a lot of negative things to say about those guys overall. I've never been super jazzed up on DeAndre Swift. Um, he's back with Ben Johnson though, so maybe that's a good thing for him. Maybe we could kind of see him settle into that offense a little bit more and do some big things. His wide receiver room, the names look really good. Age is what kind of trips me up here. Well, age and injury history. When we look at Diggs, we look at Olave. Diggs coming off a bad knee injury, Olave coming off of a bunch of concussions. That could be weird. Devontae Adams should be kind of the stalwart there. Malik Neighbors, what's going to happen with the Giants? Who's his quarterback? Is it Russell Wilson? Is it Jackson Dart? Is it who's that funny fellow that eats W's? He's there too. Um, Mike Evans. I I have a hard time seeing. I've said this probably like the last 3 years. 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Can Mike Evans do it again? I don't know. He probably will, just to spite me. Um, anyway, it's an older group, but it is a deep group. We just have to kind of see how injuries work out. Uh, Jonnu Smith, insert sound of toilet flushing here. Um, then we go to the defensive side. Uh, Again, this is actually a pretty solid group. The artist formerly known as Justin Metabikwe, uh, pretty damn good at D tackle. If Max Crosby comes back to form and healthy, I mean, there's a number one D lineman right there. Uh, the DBs, I don't know. Alontae Taylor had a really great year. That could change though with a new defensive scheme in New Orleans. So hard to say what shakes out there. And then the linebackers, just maybe a couple more question marks outside of Big Bob Spillane and Aziz. The rest of these guys have some injury issues, so uh, yeah, just kind of have to see what shakes out there. But have at it. What did I get wrong?
So
I'll start by touching on a couple of the things you said about wide receivers. Malik Neighbors, who the hell's going to throw him the ball? Who the hell cares? Like, we saw what he did last year as a rookie with a just a shit show at quarterback. Like, you know, broken ass, worthless. Who did he even have? Was Daniel Jones there for part of the year? I've lost track of who the Giants had last year. It has to be better this year. Um, Now, Mike Evans, I agree with you. Last year they had to force him the ball in the final week to get him to his 1,000 yards. I don't think he does it again. I think we're about at the end for him. Other than that, I agree with what you had to say about wide receivers. I agree on Jonnu Smith. Heck, I agree on Bo Nix. I do like DeAndre Swift more than you do. I think I like DeAndre Swift more than most people do. And I think I'm higher on his defense overall than you are. Like, I've got most of his defense ranked pretty highly, like top 4 or 5 position group in the league type of thing for most of his defensive positions. So I'm a fan of that defense. I think I look at his team and I don't see nothing like jumps out really big to me. Like nothing, no glaring terrible spots, nothing glowingly positive. Like it's just pretty fucking solid.
And I would agree with Carl on that. I think he just has a really well-rounded team. And I think part of the reason why I have him high, as high as I do, um, is because two of his players on his roster that I really like came from my squad last year via trade. He got Neighbors from me, and he got Achan from me. And yes, I
Do you
am
regret those
regretting.
trades?
Huh?
Do you regret those trades?
I do. I do regret that
I don't remember who you got
completely.
for them. So
Um, I'm pretty sure Christian McCaffrey was part of that when I had picked him up. I believe, but at least one of
I
them.
think so.
But yeah, no, I really like both of those players, and I think Matt's going to have a really solid year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's upside, but yeah, my questions are more around health and perhaps stability. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see the case. So
There's some fair questions you're asking there, Ben. I,
all right,
I just figure at least some of them are going to stay healthy.
no, you're probably right. I mean, it's hard to have that many injuries 2 years in a row, right? So,
That's right.
all right, the train keeps rolling. Who did we say next? Do we have Shane next? Is that
Shaunaba, Shane Bauer.
all right? Carl, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll go ahead and
Ryan had
take
him
this one.
sixth. Yeah, you're the low man, so you go ahead and take a
Yeah,
look at that.
yeah. So we ended up, by the compiled list, we ended up putting him at 8th. As you can see there, Ryan had him 6th, Ben had him 6th, I had him at 7th. So I mean, we were all pretty close to the same. Let's see, what didn't I like? Big part of what the problem I had with his team was the roster makeup. You can see right there, he's got 3 tight ends. He's got 6 defensive linemen. Of those 6 defensive linemen, 3 of them are D tackles, and that is 9 players out of a total of 24 taken up. Like that's taken up at positions that are going to be 3 starters. Like that's frankly, it's a lot of wasted opportunity in my opinion. Like you're filling up your roster with guys that aren't going to be playing. Um, I I think is I like Justin Jefferson. Obviously, like that's a given. I think Khalil Shakir is set up for a really great season this year. After that, I don't really love his wide receivers. I especially did not like wasting a contract spot on Christian Kirk. Running backs, a little bit similar. Like I feel like McCaffrey's in line for a bounce back year. Not a real big fan of anything else that's going on in that running back room. You got a bunch of guys that have some talent, but also are all but certain to be in some sort of timeshare. Like even Joe Mixon, and maybe I'm just lying to myself about Joe Mixon at this point. I've never been convinced he's that good. He keeps on showing up and putting up numbers and getting starting jobs, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. But Rashad White and Jalen Warren, neither of those guys have proven themselves as number one dudes, and I just don't think this is the time that they're going to. Talking about those three tight ends, yeah, I like Stav and Kelsey there. I think drafting Tyler Warren was just brilliant. Don't know for sure what that'll mean this year, considering Colts offense, but top tier talent. But then why Likely? Like, why is Likely there too now? Like, I don't get the roster construction here. Real quick, while I got a few seconds left, I'll move on to the couple of trades Shane was involved in. One of them was that trade with Ryan that we talked about in the last video, a couple videos ago, whatever the heck it was, whenever we talked about Ryan. Essentially, Shane traded what turned into Omari and Hampton for Khalil Shakir and Christian McCaffrey. I still feel like that's a good trade for both sides. Feel like if Shakir takes off like I think he might, it might actually be a better trade for Shane, but all in all, pretty darn good trade. The other one was a trade with Cody. He gave up Michael Pittman and a pick that turned into Christian Wilkins for Andrew Van Ginkel. Not a fan of that trade. I'm not nearly as high on Van Ginkel as some people are, and yeah, I don't think that was a good trade at all. So that's what I got. Who wants to tell me I'm wrong?
Well, I think I would rebuke the Van Ginkel thing. I think he's a lot better than you want him to be. I think that, and it might be a bias on both sides. I mean, you might not like him just because he's a Viking, and I might like him because he is. But I think in that defensive scheme that they got going on there, I think he is a very solid player, and he's got two others that are even better than him on his roster as well. So I could see him utilizing all three of them. Sometimes every weekend, sometimes one of them might sit depending on what has to happen. But I'm a little higher on Van Ginkel than you are. Overall, I think his defense is really, really solid. I do like his defense, and again, kind of like Matt's team, I think it's just well rounded. I think that he's got a lot of things going for him. I think he didn't go too heavy one way or the other, maybe minus the tight end room. Having three of them on your roster seems a little head scratching. But other than that, I think the breakdown of what positions he drafted, he drafted fairly well that way.
I feel like we're missing out on some linebacker depth, which is probably my main quibble. Yeah, you've got some great defensive ends, I think, but I'd still rather be flexing a couple of linebackers there for that guaranteed floor than hoping to cash in big on blow up games from Alex Highsmith or AVG or whoever you're gonna flex into those spots at any given time. So,
Or the ghost of Joey Bosa.
I'm just considering Joey Bosa cut bait at this point. Like,
I would agree
He
with
might as
that.
well already be on IR.
right? Come August, I have to think he's the first man to get axed off the roster. Real quick, and it won't be quick. It'll be a drawn out point, but to hit on the three tight end snafu here. I wrote this up, not sure where I would fit it in. This feels like a really good opportunity to fit it in. Our scoring change for tight ends has been a really good thing, I think, and this is an opportunity for a team to capitalize on it. I went back and looked at some of the finishes from last year. Okay, bear with me. Two guys that had very similar stat lines: George Kittle, Cortland Sutton. Both had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, give or take a few yards. Okay, pretty sort of years, right? Sutton finished as wide receiver 13 with 190 points, 11.2 points per game. Kittle finished as tight end 2 with 225 points, 15 points per game. That half point bonus for the first down for a tight end makes a pretty substantial difference. I do think it makes sense for the position because these are guys that are chain movers. They operate in the middle of the field. To the point where a guy like Tyler Warren, in what we think is going to be a pretty shitty offense, could be a pretty big game changer for a not great quarterback when it comes to picking up 10, 12 yards, in between the 20s. So, am I saying that, Warren or Likely are going to be great flex options week to week? No. But I'm saying, if after 3 or 4 weeks one of them settles into a role like that, that could be a super sneaky play. So why not?
I mean, honestly, I love the Tyler Warren pick. It's the
Yeah.
likely pick I don't like.
Yeah.
Right now, the hot buzz is Harbaugh really wants to see Likely featured more in the offense and wants to try and make him an All-Pro this year, I think is what he said, or something like that. So there's steam for Likely to be much more involved.
I'll believe it when they trade Mark Andrews.
Oh, right. I mean, it's all coach speak, especially at this time of the year. But
It's the Mark Andrews show until he's gone. I think
Right.
Likely is the dude next year after, because I think Andrews' contract is up after this year.
yeah, they tried to trade him in the offseason too, I believe, right? I think there was some rumors
Like
about
I
that.
think it's
but-
the Andrews show until he's gone, and then it's the Likely show. I think Shane's a year or two early. I
He
think
could
that's
be.
pretty well what happened there.
But yeah, I mean,
And let's be real, you're not likely to keep two tight ends next offseason.
Yeah, we see what.
I mean, at least I hope not. Although, frankly, if Travis Kelce falls off contracts and he gets rid of Christian Kirk and he replaces them with Tyler Warren and Isaiah Likely, I'd consider it a win. So,
Right.
I mean, maybe I'm being too hard on that.
No, I just, without saying it's a genius move, I'm saying it's a move that could accidentally pay off. So
It might work out. I hear what you're saying. I like it.
All right. Well,
All right.
in an effort to try and keep these concise, which this one was not, I just had to sneak that in with the tight ends. Cool.
We got
All
bonus
right.
information. It was worth the extra time.
Thank
It
you,
was.
thank you. Yeah, I'm here for it. So, all right. Well, we'll catch everybody a little later, and yeah, thanks for checking in.
See you guys.
Bye.